Welcome everybody to episode 2 of Car Seat Confessions. I'm your host, Andrew Geist. Decided recently that I was just going to do this podcast. Screw videoing it. It's just too much work. So this is just me doing audio. Well, greetings everybody. This is your host, Andrew Geist, and this is Car Seat Confessions, episode 2. What the heck matters? That's right. I'm asking the question, what matters to you? If you don't know the answer to that question, let me tell you, I struggled with answering this question for a long time in my life. And then I got married, found a full-time job. I got a brand new 9-month-old baby boy in my life. And I'll tell you what, life kind of forced me to answer that question. It feels kind of rapidly, but the honest to God's truth is it probably wasn't that rapid. I'm 34 years old, and it probably was over the course of 10 to 12 years that God and life forced me to answer the question, what matters to you, Andrew? So, first off, let me just encourage you. If you don't know what matters in your life, you need to write it down. Because without writing stuff down and putting it into a list that you can physically see, it means nothing. Because ultimately in life, our attentions and the things that vie for our time and attention, it can get pulled in every direction as life happens. Things that are out of our control can rob us of energy from the things that we are focusing on that we know matter, but sometimes the things that come across our plate that we can't control, like an emergency with our health or emergency with the health of a family member, those kinds of things can rob us of our energy and feel like they're defeating us. And I'll tell you what, sometimes it feels that way too. I remember, and I'll be completely candid with you, I remember having feelings before I got married about how much is this going to take away from my own personal goals and my dreams and my visions? And is it worth the risk? And I'll tell you what, right now, it's absolutely been every bit worth the risk of potentially getting my heart broken and turned down. And thank God my beautiful wife never did turn me down. And I am so grateful that she didn't. As always, these episodes are coming to you from the front seat of my 2016 RAV4, and love this car. It's such a great car for me and my family, just a small little family car. It's beautiful. But getting back to what matters. As you can see, just in that simple little plug for Toyota's RAV4, 2016 RAV4, I have immediately distracted myself from what my ultimate goal was in this podcast, which is to explain to you why it's so important for us to know and acknowledge and have a concrete written down list for ourselves about what matters. Now, the things that matter in life can range from anything to everything. And it can be your job, it can be your wife, it can be your kids, it can be money, it can be intangible things like, worship or spiritual matters or, your faith, your health. All of these things matter to us. It's just a question of how much do they matter to us. And yes, it's so important for us to rank them, because if your ultimate priority, the one thing that matters more than anything to you above everything else, is not first every single time, then you have to ask the question, why isn't it first? Why isn't it the most important thing in my life? And I'll tell you, for me, the most important thing in my life is my relationship with God, my faith, my religion. And there are some times where I have put God on the back burner, and I'm extremely disappointed by that, as I'm sure he is. But having examined the question, why do I put him on the back burner when I know he is the most important thing in my life? If I can't answer that question, I got to start doing some digging. And then that's the case for you, whether it's your wife, your family, your kids, your own faith, your work, your income, all these things. You need to know why they matter and why they're important, and you need to have concrete, solid reasons on that list as to why those things there should be nothing that budges those things from their ranking on that list. The next thing on my list would be my wife. My relationship with my wife would be the second most important thing in my life. And I can tell when I have not been doing my job as a husband to her, when we don't connect the way we normally do, when we're not in that groove. And I'll tell you what, right now we're in that season. It's tough. It's hard. We have the demands of our own jobs coupled with the demands of meeting the needs of this beautiful, amazing little boy, Frederick, in our lives. And it's challenging. And then trying to find the time to meet each other's needs, it just adds to the overwhelming exhaustion of just doing life and being parents and working full time. Now, the third thing on my list recently came into my life. My son, Frederick, is third on my list. My relationship to him is going to always be third on my list. Now, to be honest, and to be completely frank, at 9 months old, he only requires so much from me. But as he gets older, the demands for my time and my energy will shift and will require more from me. Simultaneously, because I don't have to give him as much as I need to later on when he's older, that gives me more time to my fourth thing. My fourth thing is my job, or really my whole creative self, because I'm a musician. I love composing, I love songwriting, and so when I can give myself fully over to that, I do my very best to give myself fully over to that. At the same time, the cool thing about my job as a worship pastor is it incorporates some of that into what I do on a daily basis, preparing for services on Sunday. And now you can probably find that that's probably the case in your job. A lot of what you love to do and what you do, can be found, and what you love doing can be found in the job that you have. Now, some of us in this life, we wind up getting jobs that perhaps are not our favorite. Maybe they don't tap into all of those necessary skills and the things that we love to do. But that doesn't mean that the job that you have that doesn't meet those needs or allows you to strengthen and build upon the skills for that thing that matters in your life. Maybe you can't do that right now, but that doesn't mean that this is a forever job. It just means it's a for right now job. And maybe you move on to another job. I've had so many jobs like that in my life. I've worked in retail. I've worked in the food industry. I have worked in event planning and event services. I have worked in intern jobs where I only got stipends. I worked as a paper route delivery boy as a teenager, just trying to make a little bit of money. And all of those things, I have in some way utilized those right now jobs to afford me the opportunity to build on the things that mattered to me in my life at those given points in my life. So I encourage you, don't be discouraged just because you're in a job that is just a for now job. Keep faith, keep the hope alive that you'll find that right job, that right place that will help you build on the things that matter in your life. And the fifth thing, and this one is fifth on my list because honestly, this is the one that I've neglected the most. And right now in this season of COVID, it has been extremely difficult to really have the energy to do it, but that's my health. My health is fifth on my list. And these are my 5 non-negotiables. And even though health is on my list and I need to exercise and I need to take care of my body, my temple, as it were, so that I can be here for my wife and my son for when it matters and for the long haul. Because let's face it, we are finite beings. We have a set number of days for how long we'll be on this earth. And we're getting to see some truly incredible things happen in this world and in this time of history that we've never been able to see, and that no one else will be able to understand or fathom even when they look back at this time. And I have to remind myself of that, because if I don't, then I might take it all for granted. So I encourage you that even though this trying time of COVID-19 and social distancing and mask wearing, all of these things, while they might be difficult, just know that there's not going to be another time in history like this. And you're going to be able to speak into somebody's life and encourage them when they think that life is hard, when they think that things are difficult, when they don't know what matters in their life. You're going to be able to point back to 2020 and say, hey, in 2020, man, I didn't know what mattered. And frankly, the world didn't know what mattered. And there is so much confusion and so many things that wanted to take my attention and rob me of my focus on what mattered in this life. And I didn't let it, because I made that list. I listened to this podcast put on by this goofy kid in Fresno, California, from the front seat of his RAV4, encouraging me to put down a list of 5 non-negotiable things that matter in my life, and making those my top priority, and allowing them to be the defining aspects of my life, so that I would find contentment, that I would find enjoyment in life, that I would face challenges head on, that I would face even the challenges that come with balancing a very time-consuming list of what matters. And I'll tell you what, my top 5 non-negotiables are time-consuming. And sometimes I feel like I'm not doing a good enough job at any of them or at all of them. And I have to remind myself that every day is another opportunity for me to get better, to learn from my mistakes, and continue to build upon the success that I've had from the day before. And there's always successes. It just takes the time to look back, reflect, and cherish those successes. Love you guys. Thanks for listening. I appreciate your guys' support. Thanks for subscribing. I know it's only 2 episodes, but I love you all for listening. Thanks for putting up with me. You guys are fantastic people. I hope you feel encouraged. I hope that you find hope in listening to this podcast, and know that your life struggles, your life battles, you're not alone. And even if this is nothing but a verbal diary of my thoughts, I hope in some way, shape, or form it is both therapeutic and cathartic for myself, for you, the listener. And as always, I love you all, and I look forward to doing this next episode with you all. Take care, God bless, and stay safe. Today's outfit is brought to you by artofhomage.com. This is the navy blue, Yankee blue shirt that has the white lettering Yahweh on it. I also am wearing, or have been wearing today, the worship hat with the white lettering. And I love their stuff. It's very simple, it's minimalistic and modern, and it speaks to the people around you. If you're a person of faith, it speaks to the people around you, because it just piques their curiosity. So, God bless. We'll talk to you soon.